R4. He won at the opening round at Brands Hatch and then here again at Lytton, his home circuit in Kent. Then yesterday, up in the north at Nuts Corner in County Antrim, he did it again, after reigning champion Steve Palmer suffered terminal engine failure in practice. Will's points tally looks unassailable. And down there in 5th place is the man who in the past has been described as the unluckiest man in rallycross, Barry Squibb, and we take a ride around this fast and exciting Mondello Park circuit with him now. You can see as we come round onto the loose at this section, the long right-hander, very well graded loose here, and then accelerating down on the tarmac towards one of the tightest parts of the circuit. So flick it right and then immediately left again, back onto the loose again. No real bumping and grinding here at all. And then a long right-hander back on the tarmac. Now this bend is incredibly important because the exit speed from this bend dictates your speed going down this, the longest straight, start-finish straight here at Mondello. So, thanks to Barry, now we find Arthur talking to Will Goller.
Who do you look today as your main rival? We know that Steve has gone with the damaged engine. John Welch?
I would have thought John, yes, he was going well yesterday. And there's a lot of the Irishmen are very quick round here. There's John Maloney, Dennis Bickerstaff, and Dermot. I mean, Dermot Carnegie was flying yesterday, so he should be quick as well.
It's quite a one-line track, but there are 2 or 3 overtaking places that if you're quick enough and close enough, you can sneak through. So I think today we'll probably see more exciting racing, more overtaking, but that's rallycross. It's different at every track.
So, on with the qualifying. All important the times gained here, of course, for that final grid position. Here's Arthur.
On the start line then, this fast approach into the first corner as we are into third heats now, and it's Trevor Hopkins making a very good start. Trevor Hopkins trying to come round the outside of Barry Squibb. We're on board here with Barry Squibb, but we can see it is indeed big John Maloney. John Maloney, who's taken the Metro 6R4 3.8 away into the lead, the former Mondello Park champion. He knows this track very, very well indeed. And John Maloney it is who leads. Barry Squibb, Guy Williams coming with them in 3rd place. We can see Trevor down there in 4th, but 3 cars are broken clear. And this is the man in the middle of those 3, Barry Squibb, coming away up that start-finish straight, past the start line, past the control tower, right onto the loose, front of the Budweiser grandstand, and then along this top straight leads into the tightest part of the track, sharp right, and followed by the Subaru chicane, out of Subaru and down towards the long approach into that fast right-hander at the bottom, and Barry Squibb getting it all wrong there and having to defend that 2nd place, but that he does. Gary Baker nearly through, but Barry Squibb still in 2nd place, keeping in tight on the Armco. John Maloney leads it. John Maloney from Limerick leading, Barry Squibb in 2nd place. Guy Williams in 3rd. Barry taking a very tight line into and round that first corner. The superb Mondello Park circuit, which has met with the approval of just about everybody here this afternoon. The 4th round of the British Championship being played out, organised by the County Kildare Motor Club. And a very, very different cup of tea, of course, to the Nuts Corner circuit that we saw for round 3 up in the north of Ireland. That was tight and twisty. This one is very fast, very open, and Barry winding the lock on there to keep that car pointing in the right direction, but he can only watch John Maloney win it with Guy Williams in 3rd.
So, good start to the action there. Now we move on to the Novas. This is what the standings look like after the Nuts Corner round, and Arthur has found current sensation Barry McGuigan.
Nuts is very tight, and I broke a drive shaft braking behind the young fella called Jones. I went too close to him, it was my fault, and all the weight went to the front right wheel, broke the drive shaft and spun me around. But I was driving well, and I felt comfortable with the car, and I'm just getting used to the car now, Arthur. This is a much faster circuit, much more open circuit, much more passable on each corner, and I'm really looking forward to a good day's racing.
So we come with the Novas, and Jim Cook making a good run from the centre of the front row. We've got Steve Easton on the inside. Barry McGuigan there with the Daily Star entry, slotting up into a good position. Barry McGuigan coming through on the inside. We ride with Barry in the Daily Star Nova. This is the 4th round of the GMX Exchange Units Nova Challenge, and former world boxing champion Barry McGuigan there, and Barry's come through it in the lead. Barry McGuigan leads, Steve Easton in 2nd place, Jim Cook is 3rd, Paul Coney is down in 4th place, but Barry McGuigan leads it. There is 141 going through there, that is Jeff Wright from Darlington, but it is the former world boxing champion. Barry McGuigan leading it. Barry McGuigan coming at the end of lap number 1. Steve Easton in second place. Barry McGuigan goes in. The car goes on to 2 wheels and Barry McGuigan's rolled it. Oh dear, oh dear. That looks an horrific accident there. And Barry McGuigan, the camera at least still works inside the car. And what a sad sight. A very, very badly damaged car there for Barry McGuigan.
Well, Arthur, thank heavens Barry McGuigan isn't badly damaged. He's just seen a lot of stars, and it won't be the first time in his life he's seen stars, but he is very shaken up. We're going to see a replay of this action in just a minute here. But who's this? Running across there, that's Derek Redfern from Autosport. Now, Barry is wearing Derek's helmet. You can see it there. I think Derek was more worried about his helmet. And there we see the problem. And look at this extraordinary stuff as the car goes right over, and McGuigan doesn't know whether he's coming or going. The other car involved was Steve Easton, the policeman from Burnley. And we've got a report from the other side of the circuit that there wasn't a touch there at all, and this whole performance is actually down to McGuigan. Now we get a chance to see this in slow motion with our onboard camera. Watching the back window, that's the grandstand, and as he goes for his first roll, you can see the grandstand going through 360 degrees. McGuigan's trying to do something, but it's of course totally out of control. He then moves in for his second roll, and you can just see through the side window Steve Easton's car in the background there. And then as he comes right the way around, there's Steve Easton's car. As he comes right round again for his third roll, all the glass starts smashing, the wipers are coming out, the windscreen pops out there, McGuigan's being thrown left and right and up and down, and you'll finally see the tarmac come around to meet him again. And the body shell, everything's smashed up, but the body shell of the car has withstood all of that pressure really quite well, and that says something certainly for these Novas. Mondello Park.
So a rerun of that race, stopped of course due to the Barry McGuigan incident. Let's see what happens this time. Steve Easton it is coming away from pole. Paul Coney smoking his tires on the outside there. Jim Cook slotting into the middle. Nick Jones 184 also in there. Nick Jones making a good run into third place for the Buster Thomas engine, but Nick Jones going off. Oh dear, where on earth has Nick Jones gone to? Well, it's certainly not in this race, and it now looks as though Jim Cook has got the advantage. He has indeed, and Steve Easton into second place. Paul Coney is in third. That is Jim Cook coming away though. This young man from Rickmansworth into the lead. 141 going through. That's Jeff Wright from Newton Aycliffe up in County Durham. There's Nick Jones, 184, coming back onto a more conventional line around the Mondello circuit. But there is the battle for the lead, and it is the former rallyman Steve Easton, winner of his class in the British National Rally Championship of 1990, now into Rallycross, leading the Mini-Cross champion of 1990. That is indeed the car that he used to win the class in the British Open Championship last year in Group A, now modified to comply with the Nova Challenge regulations. Jim Cook and Paul Coney sitting there in second and third placings, and you can see that Steve Wright having a better day here at Mondello than he had in round 3 at the Nuts Corner venue. He's holding a fairly strong fourth place, but it's the Steve Easton car now beginning to pull well clear of the battling duo of former mini-crossers there in second and third places. Steve Easton, determined character. Wouldn't really think that this man was in his first season of rallycross, but of course driving on special stage rallies, very much akin to the sport of rallycross, and that is indeed where the word rally comes from in the name of this sport, the origins of it being a cross between autocross and between rallying. But it's the ex-rallyman taking the checkered flag there. Comfortable victory from Jim Cook and Paul Coney.
Well, some good news, Arthur, is that McGuigan is okay. I can confirm that. His car certainly isn't, but Barry has gone back to the Jury's Hotel in Dublin, and he's going to relax for the rest of the day. Meanwhile, we continue with our qualifying. We saw Gollop there on the left. This is Gary Baker's RS200. And now, back to Arthur.
Third qualifying heats here, and Will Gollop, the current British Championship leader, sitting on pole position. The RS200s of Pat Duran and Gary Baker on there with him, and it's Will Gollop who's got it away, I think. Will Gollop is Pat Duran, slots into second place. Gary Baker is third, Mark Flaherty is fourth, and as they come away out of that first corner, it's Will Gollop from Pat Duran. It looks as though Rob Moffat's made a good run as well, also up there with the white Metro 6R4, but it's Will Gollop showing a clean pair of heels to the opposition at the moment as they come out of the twists and turns on the back part of this circuit through the Subaru chicane, and then down towards this very fast right-hander that comes through at the end of lap number 1, and Will Gollop's gone very, very wide, and it's Pat Duran through into the lead. Pat Durand leads it from Will Gollop, and Pat Durand goes into the next corner very, very wide, and who's going to come out first? And it's Will Gollop's got it back again. Will Gollop's got it back. Pat Durand slots into second place. Well, of course, the Irish crowd are very appreciative of Pat Durand's driving. His ancestors come from County Cork, so perhaps some of them know that. So I think there's a little bit of partisan cheering going on here for Pat Durand, who's really entertaining them very, very well indeed. Pat goes on his way. In second spot is Mark Flaherty up now into third. And as they come to the finish, it's Will Gollop wins it. Will Gollop takes a comfortable victory. Pat Durand in second place. And it's Rob Moffat who's come through into third.
Well, is anybody going to be able to beat Will Gollop? And Moffat's car, they're needing a little more than a teacup.
Well, now we turn our attentions to Formula B, one of the most hotly contested categories in the British Championship. Roger Newbold down there on pole. Wayne O'Connor with the big Rover V8. This circuit should certainly suit Wayne O'Connor. But it's Roger Newbold who slots into the lead with Tony Proctor into second place. Wayne O'Connor left to battle it out for third. And as they come away, Roger Newbold quite comfortably in the lead. Tony Proctor in second place. Roger Newbold through the twists and turns with his little mid-engined Renault forward power device, non-turbocharged of course, normally aspirated Ford Sierra Cosworth engine in there. Third place is local man Tommy Graham. Tommy, who lives very close to this circuit and prosperous, and has been doing his hot rod racing during the winter months. But we're going to change of order here because Roger Newbold went very, very wide, and Tony Proctor coming up to have a look on the inside, and Proctor is going to get him. No, he's not. Oh, the closest to margins, and Newbold's lost it. Roger Newbold has now lost it, and so Tony Proctor has surely inherited the lead. Tommy Graham, I think, will come out of this in second place. Roger Newbold rejoining right down at the tail end of the field, and it's Tony Proctor with the big 400 plus brake horsepower Sierra leading Tommy Graham in second place. I think it's George Warren in there as well, going very well, the veteran man from Neath in Glamorgan with the blue Mark II Ford Escort. But it is undoubtedly Tony Proctor leading it. Car number 4, Tony Proctor, well clear now. Or should I say well clear, because Tommy Graham coming up to challenge. Tommy with the rear-wheel drive Fiesta 727, local sand and gravel merchant, comes from Prosperous, so trying to live up to the name of the place where he comes from in this particular race. And one of, I must admit, my favourite of Irish drivers. He's a very flamboyant man, great spectator value, Tommy Graham. Had a most memorable race here a couple of years ago in the European Championship in one of the non-championship category events. A race that will live in my memory for a long, long time. And now he's really having a go at Tony Proctor, another man for whom I have a great respect. The big man from Rudston in East Yorkshire, and Tony Proctor on the twiddly bits, having to work very, very hard to hold off Tommy Graham. Tommy coming down to challenge Tony Proctor. These two cars totally locked together as they go away on that fast right-hander that leads into the finish straight, and it is the finish flag being readied for them. And as they come to the finish line, I think Tony Proctor's going to do it. Yes, Tony Proctor home from Tommy Graham.
Well, what a great result for Proctor, but he was chased all the way, wasn't he, by local boy Tommy Graham. Newbold, right at the back of the field. He's the current Formula B leader, and he's got to try and do better than that.
Well, let's take another look at Formula C qualifying here. We've got Bill Skirmer on pole position with the Peugeot 205, the Citroën Visa of Peter Dorkin with the red headlights in the centre, but it looks as though Colin Rowley's made a good run from the outside into second spot. The Lada Samara of Richard Watts going through there in fourth place. Down to that tight right-hander, and it is Colin Rowley in the lead. Bill Skirmer is out on the grass and losing positions there. Malcolm Wynne, one of the drivers, capitalising on that as he brings the Arden 8-Port Mini through a couple of places, but the race leader's coming away through that right-hander. There we see number 96, Brian Lennox from Dublin with his Opel Kadett. One of the Irish drivers having a one-off run here in this British Championship round. 69 Richard Watts though with the Lada Samara. The car now looking very, very smart with its stripes and logos on, and Richard Watts, a very promising young man there with that car that's very, very different, of course. The only Lada Samara that we've got in British Rallycross, but it's Colin Rowley. Rowley the Coley, they call him, from Newcastle. Fellow northeasterner there in second spot, Peter Dorkin with the Citroën Visa. Then comes Richard Watts, then 205, Midlander Bill Skirmer from Birmingham with the C&M Trinity Peugeot 205. But it's Peter Dorkin coming up to have a look in the Great North Radio back Citroën Visa, having a look for the lead, but Colin Rowley having none of it. He keeps the Fiesta in tight. Makes Peter Dorkin go wide if he's going to find a way through. Peter Dorkin doesn't. In fact, Peter Dorkin loses ground on the race leader. And it's still Colin Rowley. Colin, who's a very competitive man in Formula C, and what a very competitive class this is these days. Colin Rowley coming away. One of the top three in the championship last year in Formula C, Colin Rowley. Peter Dorkin there, concentrating on a season here in the British Championship as well as doing the Dutch Championship as well this year. But it's Colin Rowley leading from Peter Dorkin in second spot. Those two beginning to pull well clear now. Just looking to see if Bill Skirmer has made it back into third place. I don't think he has. It looks as though it's still the Samara in third of Richard Watts. But Peter Dorkin putting all kinds of pressure onto Colin Rowley. Colin withstanding that pressure well, if anything opening up a gap. There is the battle, and the Samara is still third. Bill Skirmer fourth. Bill with the leading Peugeot 205 in this year's championship. Looks as though he might be going to take third place from Richard Watts as they come to the flag, but it's Colin Rowley winning it. Peter Dorkin second, and a very close run thing for third place.
Formula C providing great entertainment as always.
So more Formula C qualifying here with Ian Sandwich in the green and white mini spares car on pole. Dave Shirley on the set of the Toyota Corolla of Dermot Rowan from Port Monarch. The red car on the inside of your screen coming up on the inside there, but it is indeed number 45 who leads it. Dave Shirley in trouble. Dave Shirley is spun. Oh dear, Dave Shirley's car is dead in the middle of the track. The driver thumping his hands in disgust. I think it's the bonnet off John Deary's car from Athlone that's thrown off, but thrown away into the lead is Ian Sandwich. Now I wonder if they're in the red flag zone for this one. It all depends whether or not Dave Shirley, and Carlo gets going again. There is the bonnetless 106 coming through. And we wait to see if David Shirley, there goes the bonnet of 106 being retrieved by the marshals. Yellow flags being waved. The race hasn't been stopped. The marshals there trying to slow the cars down. Amazingly no red flag because it means that Dave Shirley's car must still be there. Yes it is. Oh yes it is. Oh my heavens above. And it's been hit. 106. John Deary has hit that car in a most horrendous accident. Oh dear, oh dear.
Well, why on earth wasn't the race stopped? John Deary started this incident, and then on the second lap these two escorts missed David Shirley's car, and then Deary's coming round again and just takes him straight out. He's sitting there in the middle of the track, and that's a bad accident for both of them, but I mean, who is to blame there? Fairly clear, I think. And David Shirley is not a happy man at all. His well-prepared little Mini is a complete write-off. Look at it. Oh well, join us for the finals after the break.
It's La Vuelta week.
Welcome back to Rallycross on screensport, coming from Mondello Park, County Kildare in Ireland. The qualifying is over and we're ready to start the finals action.
So the Formula A B final, and just look who it contains. Trevor Hopkins, John Welch and Gary Baker on the front row of the grid, and John Welch doesn't move. John Welch doesn't move. The troubles with the car once again, and it is Trevor Hopkins away into the lead. Mark Flaney coming through into second place. Gary Baker in third. That's the way they come, but someone else in there as well, and I think once again that might be Rob Moffat. Rob Moffat's been going very well this weekend, and yes it is Rob Moffat with the white Metro in third place, but it is number 6, Mark Flaherty leading it. Mark Flaherty away, big one, number 8, not number 6 of course. There is 333, Terry Briggs down at the tail end of the order with the Mazda 4x4 Turbo, but it's Mark Flaherty leading. Trevor Hopkins in second place, Rob Moffat is in third, Gary Baker is fourth. And the winner of this one, need we remind you, goes forward to the back row of the A final. And Mark Flaherty leads, and the three cars getting very close together now. Mark under a lot of pressure from the Haynes RS200 of Trevor Hopkins, and we can see that the unsponsored car looking a bit tatty now, and Rob Moffat is in there as well. Gary Baker not that far away, and Rob Moffat coming through surely. Rob Moffat's taken second place. Rob Moffat's taken second place. Hopkins is down to third, and Rob Moffat is now looking for the lead. Rob trying to tuck on the inside there of Mark Flaherty. He gets very, very sideways as they go through that grandstand corner, but away along the back straight we can see once again it is Mark Flaherty in control of this one, but Rob Moffat putting him under tremendous pressure, and I can tell you that the crowd in the grandstand are absolutely on their feet every time this race goes in front of it, because they're all after Rob Moffat. They're cheering for Rob Moffat. Mark Flaherty may have an Irish name, but they know he comes from England, and they're really going to stand now because it's Rob Moffat minus a few more bits of bodywork who's come through and taken the lead. Rob Moffat leads it. Mark Flaherty is second. And second hand is the way that the Rob Moffat car distinctly looks now. Well, Rob's given this car a very hard race here at Mondello this afternoon, and it almost begins to look like a single-seater, doesn't it? It loses its bodywork. Mark Flaherty is coming back, though. Mark Flaherty fighting back, desperately trying to get the Hallmarks car into the all-important A final. From there, of course, a chance to go into the super final. What a disastrous day for John Welch. John moving away there to get out of the way of the quicker cars, obviously using his mirrors, driving around, trying to pick up points. But it's been a disastrous day for John Welch once again, twice British champion. But Rob Moffat bringing a few surprises here. And these Irish lads, they really do try. They are hard, they really get to it. 10/10 right from the green light through to the checkered flag. And Rob Moffat showing that it's clean Barrowfields at the moment to Mark Flaherty. Well, this is tremendous stuff at Mondello, this fast circuit providing some excellent rallycross. And Rob Moffat it is. Rob Moffat takes the flag, Mark Flaherty second, so Rob goes into the A final.
And funnily enough, two great names from Rallycross not getting into the A final, or even indeed the super final, are Trevor Hopkins and John Welsh. So that's a turn up for the books. As we move on now to the B final, Formula B.
So the Formula B cars coming up for their B final, and there you see Kevin Sherry, the Mondello Park Group A champion with the VW Golf on the centre. We've got Wayne O'Connor on pole. Let's see them as they come away. Wayne O'Connor making a good start there. And I think it might be Robin Perry giving a little bit of a nudge there to Kevin Sherry. Kevin recovering from that very, very well indeed. But who has it put through into the lead? There's three of them almost abreast as they come, and it's George Warren. Robin Perry slotting into second place, just inside Wayne O'Connor. Then comes Derek Lipset, and we can see Wayne O'Connor. Wayne O'Connor tangling in there with number 46. And 46 goes out with Robin Perry. We can see Andy Grant up now into third place. The Englishman there on his first ever tour here in Ireland. He's in third spot. And someone else spinning out down there, troubles for the back marker. But it's George Warren who leads it from number 36, Derek Lipset. Derek in second spot. There's Wayne O'Connor pulling off to retire. Derek Lipset, of course, you may recall, was in big problems off the start line last year. He's really challenging for the lead in this B final this year. But George Warren, great to see the old maestro back once again. Nicknamed the Fox, George Warren, because of the rather crafty attitudes that he adopts. That the old so-and-so's come through. Look at this one, would you believe? Very likeable, veteran driver, George Warren. It has to be the oldest man in British Rallycross, and making a wonderful experience for us to see him here at Mondello this afternoon. He comes away, Derek Lipset, really challenging for the Irish. So it's Wales versus Ireland in the British Championship here in the Formula B category. The two Mark II Escorts, both of them looking a little bit worse for wear, it has to be said. But underneath they are in fine battle, and the drivers inside likewise. And George Warren showing the youngsters a clean pair of heels here, and those two cars a long way clear of Kevin Sherry going through. There is the 319, that's Liam Carey from Cushendall in Northern Ireland in fourth place, but they are a long way back from this battle for the lead. George Warren it is. George, who, believe it or not, is an undertaker by profession down in Glamorgan, down in South Wales. And very often we say when he goes rallycrossing, he becomes an overtaker, and that is certainly what he's done in this race. He's overtaken everyone to come through into the lead. So it's George Warren leading from Derek Lipset. Derek can't get close enough to challenge. Try as he may, George still holding the advantage. As they come through to complete another lap, George Warren still with the advantage from Derek Lipset. And I think that's the way it's probably going to stay. They are certainly a long, long way ahead of anybody else. Derek closing once again, but George very much in control of this one. Just taking the racing line, making it very difficult for the Irishman to find a way through. Very fast circuit, of course. If you get off the racing line on a circuit as fast as this one, then you really are in trouble. But Derek, having a look on the inside there, nearly comes off. George Warren still with the advantage, and once again it's a very close thing, and it's George Warren coming up, and George Warren takes it by the narrowest of margins from Derek Lipset.
So good to see George Warren back in winning ways. Ahead there of Lipset, Sherry, Carey and Andy Grant.
Well, there we see young Richard Watts from Bridlington bringing the sole Lada Samara in British Rallycross up onto the start line. This young man, just 21 years old, and he really has quite literally come of age with this car. Very, very competitive man indeed. On the outside is number 9, that's Alan Coates, who must be in with a chance of this one. We can also see Mike Howland in there. A little bit of door handling going on as they come off the start line, and Mike Howland coming up to challenge, but it looks like the Samara that's got it. It is Richard Watts leading. Mike Howland, the Welshman, in second spot. Alan Coates from Yorkshire in third place with the Rover Metro. But it's the Lada Samara of Richard Watts coming away. Mike Howland in second, Chris Bellamy in fourth place. Then I can see the car of Mark Manning. There is 29 Colin Rowley, the winner of one of the heats earlier this afternoon. But it is Richard Watts leading quite comfortably. Also in there, number 55, that indeed is Carl Cleary. Carl Cleary, who won the C final to get into this race, being backed here in Ireland this afternoon by the Rallycross Trust. Carl coming up quite strongly now, this young Dubliner, into fourth place, ahead of Mike Manning. There he goes, 55 Carl Cleary. And Mike Howland going very, very wide. I wonder if Mike Howland's got a problem. He certainly appears to be slowing. Richard Watts very comfortably in front now. That immaculate Lada goes on its way. Who's going to come through in second spot? We'll have to wait and see. There is Richard Watts going into the tight right hander at the back of the circuit. Then the flick out left and right through the Subaru chicane. And I think Mike Howland has indeed gone missing. Yes, it's Chris Bellamy up in the second place now. Carl Cleary in third. There is Mike Howland going through very, very slowly. And at the checkered flag, it's Richard Watts who wins it. And who's going to be second? Because Chris Bellamy looks as though Chris has blown his engine as they come to the finish line. And it's young Carl Cleary, the C final winner, coming through to take second place with Mike Manning in third. And the luckless lad from Lincolnshire looks as though he's blown his engine. Oh, look, oil all over the front wings.
So disappointment for Chris Bellamy there. His Fiesta needs a bit of cleaning up. Richard Watts, though, in a Lada in first place, really competitive.
So to the B final for the Nova Challenge, and you'll see that pole position is vacant because Paul Coney, who's qualified for it, is not there. The engine problems have kept him out, and it's 1-4-1 making a good start, Jeff Wright, but it looks as though Andy Lawson's come through on the inside. Andy Lawson, I think it is, yes, it's an immaculate new car for Andy Lawson, comes through into the lead. Second spot there, 2-3-3, that's Steve Lewis. Steve Lewis in second spot. I think it might be Steve Pressick in third place. But it's Andy Lawson leading it. There goes 2-4-8. The ex-kartist from Warrington, Lyndon Barton, but getting a bit crossed up front, the ex-Formula V driver, it is Andy Lawson leading it. Andy, whose car won the Best Prepared Car Award in round 3 from Nuts Corner, yes, 747 Steve Pressick. He's in third spot. He also has previously this year won the Best Prepared Car Award in this challenge series, and he's now looking for second place, and he has got it. Steve Pressick through into second spot. Former rallyman Steve Lewis goes down into third. So it's the Northern drivers dominating this one. Andy Lawson from Yorkshire, Steve Pressick from Saltburn in Cleveland. There goes 32 through, that's Adrian Cregan's son, Adrian Cregan, and someone's gone off in a big way there. That's 1-4-1, Jeff Wright bouncing back onto the track. Another ex-rallyman from Darlington, but it's Andy Lawson leading. Andy Lawson goes away. We saw Andy driving an Opel Manta in British Rallycross last year. And a familiar story from Andy Lawson that we've told you before from other drivers. He built a car to go rallying in. He went and took a look at a rallycross meeting at his local circuit at Croft, decided that rallycross was for him, and is in the sport now in his first year, and this is only his second event in the Nova Challenge, and he's certainly driving very, very well indeed. Jeff Wright goes through from Newton Aycliffe, but it's Andy Lawson comfortably up front. Andy Lawson leading this one. Steve Pressick in second place. Garage proprietor Andy Lawson as 32. Adrian Cregan explores the outer limits of the Mondello Park circuit. Son, of course, of the former Formula A driver Aidan Cregan. Young Adrian in his first season in the sport, young student from Malden in Surrey. Certainly turning in better drives, slowly getting used to the art of rallycrossing. I must say Andy Lawson has got to grips with his Nova very, very quickly indeed. I am impressed by this man from Yorkshire. He's driving this car very well indeed. So much so that he wins that one from Steve Pressick.
And so, Andrew Lawson going through to the A final. They're the official results. Steve Pressick second, Jeff Wright third, Adrian Cregan fourth, and Lyndon Barton fifth. Now then, we move on to the Formula A finals, and this man driving his Metro onto the grid, Guy Williams. At the start of today's competition, he was second in the championship standings and really seems the only man likely to give Will Gollop a run for his money.
So the Formula A final coming up, and this one promises to be really something. We ride with Barry Scribb on board with the camera, and Will Gollop's coming away from pole position, and is Will Gollop going to be the leader here? And you can see Pat Duran. Oh, and Pat Duran in trouble under braking, and he's caused all manner of problems. Pat Duran losing it under braking there, and causing mayhem as they went into that first corner. Will Gollop's car rolling back onto the track. And if this race is not stopped, then there's going to be a horrendous accident when they come through at the end of it. I can see the cars in the background still going, but Will Gollop's car dead in the centre of the track. Will trying to remove it. We see a replay of it from on board with Barry Scribb, and you can see we had Pat Duran coming right across the bows of Barry Scribb, and indeed Barry Scribb, I think, in a lot of problems with his car, trying to get going again, pulling off onto the grass. As the rest of the field go away, it looks as though Barry Scribb, no, he has got going again. There is Pat Duran coming through with the bodywork all astray. Pat Duran leading it. We've got John Maloney in second place, Dennis Bickerstaff, Rob Moffat, Dermot Carnegie, and we've got troubles there also for Guy Williams. Bodywork rubbing on the tyre, I would think. Surely this race is going to be stopped. There is Will Gollop still in the centre of the track, and they have indeed red flagged it. It has been red flagged. And the reason being that Will Gollop's car is stationary in the centre of the circuit. That is the reason that I would give for the red flag. Well, what a great shame. We have to rerun that one, obviously. Will, I think, getting back into the car. Barry Scribb, you can see, with the front suspension all awry. Barry pulling off to retire.
Well, it's a shame that, Arthur, not only for Barry, but for the other drivers involved in that incident as well, because through no fault of his own, Barry Scribb's racing day is over. So as Barry walks over towards the paddock, probably trying to find some choice words to use when he catches up with Pat Duran, who's just driven across there. We'll be back with more action after the break. Welcome back to Mondello Park and the Formula B A finals. The championship leader, Roger Newbold, in the middle of the grid. Tony Proctor just lining up now. We saw him earlier. Time now for the race commentary. Here's Arthur.
But it is the man from the outside we're going to watch, but not making the best of starts. Tony Bardi with the Vauxhall going away into second spot. Tony again beaten off the start line, and once again it's Roger Newbold who leads him. Roger Newbold then going away, Tony Bardi into second place. Brian Betteridge has slotted into third place behind Betteridge. Tony Proctor has made a superb start to come through into fourth. No doubt about it, the Mondello Park circuit really suits him. There is Mike Mantell with his new rear-wheel drive Mark III Escort in a very strong fifth position. But it is Roger Newbold leading. Now then, can Tony Bardi close in and do anything about our race leader? Tony, once again, with the Vauxhall Dealer Sport backed car beaten off the start line. And it's very interesting to hear one of the reasons that Tony Bardi's giving us why this car, he feels, is not as quick off the start line as the Stanley Ranley Group A car that we see in the European Series. He thinks it's because this car is right-hand drive and Stainer's is left-hand drive. And Tony says the weight in the car is biased to the right. Put a driver in on the left-hand side and you counteract it, and you make a nice even balance on the front. Put a right-hand drive car onto the circuit and you've got more weight biased to the right, and making it even more difficult to get off the start line. Well, that's his theory. It's a very interesting one. He certainly, once he's got off the line, he is as quick as anybody else in British Rallycross in his category, and Tony Bardi really is got his tail up now, and he's really having a look at Roger Newbold. And once again, it's these two Yorkshiremen dominating the Formula B category here this afternoon, the larger category for the two-wheel drive cars, and it's Tony Bardi surely through on the inside there. Yes, Tony Bardi's got it through on the inside of Roger Newbold. Can Roger fight back? Roger going a little bit wide as they came up over the finish line area, and Tony Bardi took the opportunity to go through as Tony Proctor spins out. Tony Proctor spinning out. His good run has all been for nothing, and Procky rejoins at the back end of the order, this very popular man. But Tony Bardi now pulling away from Roger Newbold, and Tony Bardi then looking for his first victory in the Formula B Championship this year, the reigning British Formula B champion. There is Mike Mantell really warming up the back end of the Brian Betteridge car. And notice that the wipers are now going on the Tony Bardi car. It has been a bit showery here earlier in the afternoon at Mondello. Well, most of the racing it's been dry, but it does look as though we've got a storm coming up, and this is going to be very critical for Tony to get through. And in fact, I think it is raining quite hard out there now. Tony coming through. They will have started this race surely on slicks, but the track's getting itself quite slippery now, and Roger Newbold would play into his hands surely if it did get wet, although the front-wheel drive characteristics of the Tony Bardi car are good enough, and Tony takes it. Tony wins that one and gets maximum points in Formula B.
And that brings him 4 points closer to Roger Newbold in the championship with second place. Proctor taking his car off a wet circuit into the bank there. But Newbold still leading the championship with 89 points.
So the Formula C A final now, and the track very, very wet indeed. And who's going to be the master of the wet here? Well, we've got number 92 out there. That's David Metcalf, the British rally driver that drives the works. Vauxhall knows, of course, and he's into rallycross for fun, he says, but it's the local man from Delgany in County Wicklow, 151, Lloyd Spendlove, who's gone away into the lead. Lloyd Spendlove leaving it with British Championship leader in this category, Clive Richardson from Loch Hall in Northern Ireland, through into second place. It is Ian Sandwith in third. It's very, very wet out there now. And number 31, David Pritchard, right down at the tail, the man who won at Liddon Hill on Easter Monday. He's got a lot to do now. The former British champion, Dave Pritchard, at the back end of the order, but up front it's all Irish, and it's the man from the Republic, the young restaurateur from Delgany, Lloyd Spendlove with the Metro leading. Number 76, Clive Richardson from Northern Ireland, from Loch Hall, and Clive, the current leader of the British Championship in Formula C, really going to be putting the pressure on, I think, the local man here now. But it's Lloyd Spendlove driving a very, very good race. David Metcalf trying to come through on the inside of Ian Sandwith and doing it. And you can see that Ian's been in a bit of contact there somewhere. We can see bodywork rubbing on the tyre of car number 45, the Ian Sandwith green and white mini spares car. But a very, very close race, this one. And Clive Richardson moving in to have a look. Clive moving in to have a look. And is he going to do it here as Lloyd drifts a bit wide? Yes, he does. Lloyd Spendlove goes down to second place, and the luckless Peter Dawkin goes back to the paddock with what can be fairly described as de-arranged front suspension on the Citroen. But Lloyd Spendlove is fighting back. He is shadowing Clive Richardson all the way around Mondello Park. Lloyd tucks right in behind Clive Richardson, and watch David Metcalf coming up very strongly there in third place. David has been driving the Celebrity Nova, has enjoyed rallycross so much that he decided to build this Formula C version and come out and contest the British Championship whenever he can. And the Vauxhall Works rallyman there holding a very strong third place, but it's still Clive Richardson leading. Clive, the winner at Brands Hatch, remember, on St Patrick's Day, coming away to lead Lloyd Spendlove. But what a great drive coming from young Lloyd Spendlove. A lot of admiration for this young man, very talented indeed, but he is now coming under a lot of pressure from David Metcalf, the Cumbrian man, looking for a way through, and I think this is where he might do it. Yes, he does. And David Metcalf through into second place, so it's Nova's 1-2. The Metro down into third. 76 going away, Clive Richardson. And down at the back end of the field, we can see that into the Armco goes 205 Bill Skirmer. Bill spinning there with the C&M joinery car, and oh dear, that car has come to rest in a rather precarious position right in the middle of the track, but it is on the start-finish straight, so the other cars should indeed be able to see it. Bill getting out of the car and quickly running into the safety of the bank. I certainly don't blame him. And as they come through, we can see, yes, Bill's car fairly well out of the way on the outside, and the checkered flag, it's Clive Richardson taking it from David Metcalf, with Lloyd Spendlove in the end dropping down to fourth behind Ian Sandwith.
Well, that's 3 out of 4 wins for Clive Richardson, and that's very reminiscent of Johnny Milner's outings in Formula C last year. Anyway, on to Formula A and the Big A final. Will Gollop has won 3 out of 3 in this division so far. Can he win another one? Arthur.
Thank you, Peter. So this then is the rerun of the A final, and it's Dermot Carnegie who's made a tremendous start. John Maloney challenging Will Gollop for second place, but I think Will might get that second spot as they accelerate away out of the first corner. Has he taken the lead? No, he hasn't. Dermot Carnegie's got it. Dermot from Will Gollop. So Will Gollop being headed for the first time in an A final, and despite the fact that we thought that Will Gollop was the reason for the red flag, he has been allowed in the restart. So Will Gollop still in the race. There goes Guy Williams. That's Rob Moffat looking over his shoulders to see where everyone is. Well, I think they're at the other end of the track, Rob. They're in front of you, not behind you. And there they come, and it is indeed Dermot Carnegie, the Dubliner, leading. John Maloney down in third place. Dennis Biggerstaff from Dromore in County Down is in fourth. So it's the Irish very strong here, with 3 cars in the first 4, and headed by the total backed car of Dermot Carnegie, the Auto Test ace from Ireland, who is now very much a rallycross ace as well. The All-Ireland champion, Dermot Carnegie, leads Will Gollop, and Will at the moment being really headed for the first time in an A final in the British Championship. He currently leads both Formula A category and the overall category with a maximum point score. But at the moment, Dermot is trying to take that away from him. And Dermot doing it very effectively here at the moment. Dermot Carnegie still holding that advantage. John Maloney still third. Dennis Biggerstaff fourth. So Carnegie's still holding him, and the crowd here at Mondello Park are absolutely on their toes with excitement because they can see that Will Gollop has been headed, and they're loving every minute of it because it's their local hero from Dublin, just down the road. Dermot Carnegie, the man who leads here on the County Kildare circuit. The County Kildare Motor Club organises this event in fine style as Will Gollop goes up to take the lead. Will Gollop leads it. And suddenly the crowd quietened down a little bit. Dermot hanging on though in second place. Big John Maloney still in third. Dennis Biggerstaff fourth. Dennis, who's become a very familiar sight over the last 2 years in the British Championship, doesn't just do these Irish rounds, comes over to the English side of the Irish Sea to contest a full championship. But it's still Will Gollop with the advantage. Will Gollop leading. Dermot taking a tighter line, closing a little bit on Will. Can't find a way through. And it's still Will Gollop as Dermot drifts wide, extending that advantage. And Will Gollop it still is. No positional change at the moment, looking at all apparent. Most of these drivers, I think, respecting the conditions out there, which are now fairly slippery, and each and every one of them thinking that perhaps a place in the super final is fairly secure for them. Not least of all Will Gollop, and Will coming on to complete his domination of the Formula A category in the British Series. Former Mondello champion there, John Maloney, goes through in third spot. But it's Will Gollop, and Will Gollop at the flag takes that one despite a very determined effort by the Irish drivers.
And it's those Irish drivers who are actually hindering Guy Williams' chances of ever catching Will Gollop there. Second in the Nova Championships, Rob Coates on pole position here, yet to win his first final.
So here comes the Nova final. And it is 138. Bert Greenway making a very good start. Bert Greenway getting away very well. So is Susie Brailsford there with the Texaco car, the black car, which looks as though it might be coming through into second place, and it is, yes. British Airways hostess Susie Brailsford up into second spot with the Texaco entry, but it's Gloucester's Bert Greenaway who's come away in the lead. It might well be Nick in third place, Nick Jones, I think. Then comes the Tetley T entry of Rob Coates. There's the winner of the B final, Andy Lawson going through. But it's Susie Brailsford doing extremely well there in second place, and those two cars beginning to pull away from the pack. Susie Brailsford having a look. Susie Brailsford looking for her first victory in the Nova Challenge. The British Airways hostess going superbly well there with the Harry Hockley prepared car. But it's Bert Greenway in his home prepared device who leads them. Bert, who's been a little bit of a sensation in the Nova Challenge series so far this year. Coming well clear there, Susie coming with him. It's Alan Coates' brother, Rob Coates in third place. Then comes Nick Jones. We can see Jim Cook down at the tail end of the order with the Rallycross Trust supported car. That's the multicoloured car there of the young man from Rickmansworth. But Susie Brailsford certainly really enjoying the slippery conditions out here very, very well indeed. A very, very determined young lady indeed. Would you believe she became an air hostess to overcome her fear of flying? And that, I think, is evidence indeed of the determination within the character of Susie Brailsford, and that determination really being shown here as she goes round the Mondello Park circuit in second place. Surprised this morning when she arrived here at Mondello Park to find that her parents had come over to cheer her on her way. She didn't know they were coming, and so Susie certainly given Mum and Dad a very, very good reward for their journey over here to the Republic this afternoon. And Susie hanging on in there well in second place, but it's still Bert Greenaway dominating it. And Bert looking as though he's going to take another victory here this afternoon. Susie Brailsford's other ideas though, Susie still hanging on to that second place. And though hard she may be trying, she is beginning to drop back a little bit on Bert. Very determined character indeed, Bert Greenway. It looks like Rob Coates with the Tetley T entry still in third place. Rob still looking for that elusive victory in the Nova Challenge. And understeering wildly here on this very slippery track now. But victory there for Bert Greenway, and Susie gets her best result with a very strong second place.
And that second place moves Susie B up to fourth in the overall standings. And Coates, although he doesn't win here again, gets enough points to move into leading the championship ahead of Paul Coney. Now then, the one you've all been waiting for, the super final.
Well, as we look at the super final grid, a rare sight there of Tony Bardi on the front row, and it's all to do with the wet, of course. Tony had a relatively dry run in Formula B to come onto the front row of the grid, but it's Dermot Carnegie who heads them. Oh, and Dermot Carnegie and Will Gollop tangling there, and Will in trouble again, and we can see that Dermot going through between Will and John Maloney and tucking in very, very tight. And, well, I really wouldn't want to say if Dermot was to blame for that. Will, I think, caught the corner of the front of the car on the Armco. It reared in the air, shot him across the track, and whether this race is stopped or not, Will Gollop is effectively out of it, I would think, but it hasn't been stopped. It is still going, and it's an Irish 1-2 now with Tony Bardi in incredible third place, Dermot Carnegie rejoining in fourth, but up front it is John Maloney. So John Maloney leads it, Dennis Biggerstaff second, Tony Bardi incredibly in third place, Dermot Carnegie fourth. Dermot trying to get back on terms with the leaders. As they go away, we have an unusual sight here because this could be history in the making. To the best of my knowledge, an Irish driver has never ever won outright a round of the British Championship. And look at it, 1, 2, 3 of them now as Dermot gets past Tony Bardi in the first 3 places. So it is certainly going to be an Irish victory, and it's certainly not going to be Will Gollop's day. He walks forlornly away from the front end damaged Metro by Turbo. So Will, as we said earlier, out of this race, so his 100% record in the overall standings will vanish here at Mondello this afternoon, and it's now down to the Irish to see what they can do, and it is indeed an Irish 1-2-3. Tony Bardi, the top Englishman there with the two-wheel drive Formula B specification Vauxhall Astra, as Dermot Carnegie closes in now onto Dennis Biggerstaff. But Dennis still sitting there in second spot, serenely behind this man, John Maloney. And John looks to me as though he's going to become the first driver ever from outside of the United Kingdom to come through and win a round of the British Championship. There in second spot is Dennis Biggerstaff, the front wing flailing on his car. Dermot Carnegie moves in to have a look as they come round that right-hander that leads onto the finish straight. But there we see the checkered flag, and John Maloney wins it for Ireland. And it is indeed Irish drivers in the first 3 places on the road, and the Irish crowd in the grandstand, well, they loved every minute of it.
Yes, but the judges didn't like Dermot Carnegie's argy-bargy. He was excluded and ends up down in last position there. So that's how the super final looked. John Maloney from Dennis Biggerstaff in second place and a good third for Tony Bardi. Now then, overall, Will Gollop ever extending his lead there. Dennis Biggerstaff moves into second place. Guy Williams drops down to third, as does Steve Palmer drop down a place to fourth. So the leaders after 4 rounds, Clive Richardson in the Formula C doing really well. Roger Newbold, Formula B, Will Gollop we just talked about, and Rob Coates leading the Novas. Well, join us next time out from Croft in North Yorkshire, but from me, Peter Noyes Thomas, Arthur Debenham and the whole team here. See you next time round. Rallycross.